is funk. Thoughts deep, boys steeped in the depths that he sunk. Big stress, depressed in the middle of fall. Sky gray, I late in the thick of it all. I wonder, how long can a human survive just staying alive or carrying the rest of the tribe? Waiting for the day to arrive or struggling dies, and I be doing way, way more than getting by. So why? Cop myself a cup of coffee, sip of water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, cop myself a cup of coffee, sip of water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Realize life is so much more than just living a day. Every day I can sit and reflect and breathe and connect to myself and all that I've been given. See, giving up is not an option. So when I'm looking at gray skies, I'll be adopting a new way to deal with a test. Lord, relieve me of stress. The rain be looking like when blessings drop in. And so I got myself a cup of coffee, sip of water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Water in it softly, cleansing me of stress I hold. Hey, here we go. Yeah. Let's do this. Y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord. In times of test, let no harm beset me, oh my Lord, oh my Lord.
Salute everybody, salute. Welcome to the podcast today. I am Urban, appreciate y'all tuning in. Today we're going to have a very special show. We're going to be covering the situation with Derrick Jaxn. She recently did a interview on a podcast known as I think it's the Wifey Podcast, something like that. So we're going to review this video, but I didn't want to do it by myself. I actually wanted to bring in someone who has a level of expertise on this, okay? So without further ado, I would like to introduce to y'all my guest today, my very guest, Psychology Eats. What's up? How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Are you welcome? Hey, I appreciate you coming up. Then, like I say, we have a very good show today. We got a very good show today. We're going to review this video with Derrick Jaxn, and we're just going to take our time, kind of break this down. I want to give a professional perspective about this as well as a personal perspective, if you don't mind, you know.
Right.
All right, so without further ado, let me go ahead. I'm going to get this video queued up for us, so we're just going to jump into this, all right?
Okay.
Salute to everyone who are tuning in right now, who are joining us right now. Salute to everybody. Let's go ahead and jump to this.
I first was brought, when I first met this young lady through social media, through some drama that she had encountered, I said, I want the opportunity to speak to her. And I just lightly threw that up to God. And a couple of years later, God would allow that to happen. Are y'all ready for this? Without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My new homie, Naia Jaxn.
Hey,
what's
up?
Going on?
Hey, yes.
Naia, you in here now?
I am in here.
You are on the yellow couch.
I am comfortable. I am on the yellow couch. You have treated me well since I've been here. Thank you.
So tell me, what made you decide to do this? I mean, there's a lot of people that come and they've been DMing you and trying to get you to come on their platforms. Why have you said no to all of them and yes to the Dear Future Wifey podcast?
One, because the Lord didn't give me permission to go on any other platforms. So I have to be obedient to him. And when you reached out to me, it was automatic, like, yes. And so here I am, being obedient to the Lord. But second to that is that I haven't had an opportunity to have a voice or to have my voice heard. It's been drowned out with all of the noise, all of the drama surrounding my life and marriage and all of that. So I appreciate.
Now, first of all, how do you feel about her statement that she wanted to wait on the Lord to give her permission to go on different platforms?
She had me right there. I'm like, girl, the Lord talks directly to you about where you should go on a podcast. Okay. I think a lot of people reached out to her. For whatever reason, she just picked him. They've been reaching out to her since she came on with her husband when he confessed his sins.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
I'm very surprised that the host said that he'd been trying to reach out to her for what, over a year or so, and finally she
right,
decided to, go on the show.
right. I can understand that. I mean, I'm sure, with all the embarrassment and just whatever mental health things that she was going through, it probably took her some time to be able to do this.
Yeah, facts.
You know,
Miss Regina Stokes, I see you in the chat. Salute, welcome. Miss Indy, I see you in the chat as well. Salute to y'all. And salute to everyone there who are tuning in, watching, either in the bushes or y'all going to catch the replay. But let's dive deeper into it.
You creating a safe space for me to come and speak about my truth, my life, and allow my voice to be heard so that others can be healed and made whole as I testify.
On the podcast, we have a mantra. We say we keep it lit. We live intentionally and transparently.
Yes.
Are you going to keep it lit today?
Lit all the way.
All the way.
Turned up.
You and I have had some conversations in the pre-interview. We've been getting to know each other for about the last week and a half.
Yes.
And man, when I tell you, I've been blown away by your transparency, your vulnerability. And social media had this way of trying to make you look like you crazy.
Yes.
And when I met you, I talked to you, I was like, this girl, not only is she not crazy, she's absolutely brilliant. So
wow.
What was that? What was that about?
Well, I think the world did not see me for so many years, so they have nothing to go off of.
Facts.
And so they're seeing me for the first time when all of this crazy stuff is going on. And then I'm sitting up here talking about Jesus, talking about a helmet of salvation. So it's like, oh, she has lost her mind. She is
cuckoo for Cocoa
right.
Puffs.
And I'm like, I'm saying I have a sound mind, and I know what's going on right now because I've been delving into the Word. I'm discerning the time that I'm in from a spiritual state, and now I'm trying to protect what sanity I do have with the Word of God. So
let's dive into this. Now, from my perspective, when I looked at her video where she had on her headgear, talking about she had the bundle of salvation on, it wasn't the point that she was representing her religion. It was the point of her actions while doing it that made a lot of people think twice about her. What do you think?
Right. I think when she did it, she looked numb to me. In the video when she had on, when he was confessing, she looked numb. Like she had taken, a couple of, pills, something allegedly to calm her down so that she wouldn't react. So I think she was just in a state of numbness. Like even the way she was like kind of staring into the camera, like.
Yeah, that's like a blank stare.
Yeah. And I think at that point too, she was so manipulated by him, she didn't want to say like the wrong thing.
Yeah, facts.
She didn't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah, well, when Derrick first came out and he was confessing, he was holding her hand. She looked at this blank, like in a way, her body language was as though she really didn't want to do it, but she was just doing it to appease him.
Sure.
But
at that point, he was still, definitely manipulating her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts. It's one
Yeah.
thing that I do want to ask you about from a professional perspective on psychology. Um,
Mhm.
how do you feel about how you feel about Stockholm syndrome? Do you think Stockholm syndrome plays a role in the situation?
Um, I would say at a lower level, because they were married. She wasn't kidnapped. Mentally, I believe he kidnapped. You know what I mean? Mentally.
Yeah,
But a little bit, yeah, where you protect the person who's kidnapped you, like the person that's held, a gun to your head. Somehow you form this relationship, you know what I mean, with
hmm
them, and you want to protect them. She was definitely in that mode where she was still
yeah,
wanting to protect him.
yeah, facts. Now
Yeah.
here's the I'm gonna want to put the definition of Stockholm syndrome. That's so if the one our audience don't know what we're talking about. Um,
Oh, okay,
here's the
let's look
actual
at it.
definition of Stockholm syndrome in relationships. Just like what PE say, Stockholm syndrome is the condition of which people develop positive emotions in association with someone who's keeping them captive. And captive can
Right.
mean that it could be an abuser or it could be even in a cult-like setting.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's why we are kind of mentioning this because it could be possible that she felt that she was captive in this situation that um, she didn't have no other turning back from it.
Right. Right. She
But
wanted
yeah,
to
let's.
protect him, so she did what she thought she needed to do, even if it made her look crazy.
hmm Yeah, facts. I agree with that. I agree. Let's go further.
Hmm.
See what she got to say.
I think that's kind of what fueled all of
Oh
that and
Lord, it
trying to
gets
get a feel
worse.
for who I am.
But you haven't always been a Christian.
No, no.
I want to take an opportunity to get to know you before we talk about what everybody wants to know, because like I said, I want to provide this opportunity for us to get to know you,
Yes.
Naia, outside of your spouse. Who is Naia?
Naia is a girl from Denver, Colorado, born and raised. I have some brothers and three brothers and a sister. And while I was introduced to Christianity and actually did have some roots in the church, I had to figure out that on my own. I had to
Yeah.
identify with Christ and believing in him on my own. And so when I was younger, I had a belief in Christ, but I felt like I was doing it more so because that's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
You're supposed to believe in God. You're supposed to do this, and I'm very shy. I'm very reserved and laid back. But then at the same time, you can get a side of me that's very just like let's throw some spikes in your hair and just go,
Yeah.
do something completely odd that nobody's expecting. So you kind of get a range there. And so that's me pretty much in a nutshell. Very reserved. I'm very loyal. Sometimes clearly to my own detriment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a little bit about me.
Well, when you say loyal to your own detriment, has that always been the case?
I feel like it has, at least in my adult years. Probably not so much as a child, but when I'm looking back on why that is, it stems back to a root of rejection and abandonment that I had. And so as I grew up into my adult life, I definitely would say it was more in that aspect. So
when you think about abandonment, what do you go back on when you hear yourself say, when I think about the abandonment that I've come from? Let's unpack that.
Yeah, so abandonment. With my father, I had teenage parents. My mom was 16 when she had me. My father was 18. They never really had a relationship per se. They were just supposed to be playing video games.
They were playing with other things.
Here you go. Merry Christmas, right? Because my birthday's in December, a couple days before Christmas. So
Okay.
video games, here I go, the present. And so, there's a little bit of rejection and abandonment there, right? Because I never really had parents that were a couple.
Yeah.
Right. And then because of that, there was some question about whether or not I was actually my father's or not. And so then I had that, even though I wasn't even born yet to receive that per se. but that still affected me because I grew up and found out about that. And then there was rejection. And then just the relationship that I had with my father growing up, I felt like he just wasn't as present as he could be, or he would always not come through or follow through on his promises when he said he would do something. And so that all affected me. And then boom, he died when I was 12. And
Let's go ahead and unpack this. Let's go ahead and unpack it.
Right.
So well, when I was in college, I took a marriage and family development course for my degree. One of the subjects that we had touched on was about the nuclear family and about the dynamics of it, and that was telling us that they believe that you have to be a certain age in order for you to fully divest into being into a strong nuclear family for us mentally. They believe that under the age of 18, that you're underdeveloped, meaning that you don't know much about the dynamics of a nuclear family household. So due to her mentioning that her parents were, this young age range, do you think this is what affects her upbringing right now?
Oh yeah. I strongly believe that. That's why I was interested in her background as far as her childhood, and it makes sense that she has, in my opinion, she has like an attachment disorder. Like they both do. Her husband and her are different types of personality disorders, but I believe hers stems from her childhood, the abandonment, or what she felt like was abandonment from her birth father. Oh,
So
definitely.
is her abandonment valid, or is she just making up excuse to cater to her behavior?
I think it's valid. I think it's valid because it's like when you have a personality disorder, or especially an attachment disorder, it it doesn't make sense that it doesn't make sense to people who look at you try to get into these relationships that don't make sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
this man was not a good boyfriend to her, but yet she stayed attached to him and wanted to be with him. Like it almost like coincides with her wanting that relationship with her father and never really getting it, and then he dies. So now she'll never
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I could agree to that. Our professor also dive into the subject about children resembling mimic behavior with their parents. So we could safely
Mhm.
say that it sounds like she was mimicking the behavior of her mom, right?
In what way? Why do you think that? What do you think?
Because she was saying that her father and mother didn't have a really good relationship, that he was doing certain things towards her as well,
Okay.
and she kept staying in it.
Okay. Yeah, then that makes sense. That definitely makes sense why she would stay in this relationship, even when they were dating. It was, as she talks more, we find out that he's always cheated on her, even in the beginning when they first met on campus.
Hmm.
He was the ladies' man on campus. He was the man.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We gotta get into that because that's the juicy part. That's that story.
Right.
That story crazy. But yeah, we're gonna
Exactly.
dive deeper to that because I know P. I know you got a lot to say about that too. Me too. But let's go further. All right.
And so
Okay.
then, I'm just left to try to figure out this thing on my own. And so there's abandonment, there's rejection there. And as I was younger, I used to be like a tomboy per se, right?
Yeah.
And that was because I wanted the affection of my father. I had two brothers at the time, and So they were playing football. He was their football coach. He was involved in all their activities. And I'm over here, just this little chubby girl over here.
You're chubby
I was
back
fat. I was fat,
You're a fat little girl.
I was. My mom was in culinary school at the time, so she was practicing and I was eating.
You was helping her pass her assignments.
Exactly. And so I would try to, win his affection and his love by trying to be like a tomboy, like my brothers, like play football. I wanted to be on a football team. My mom was like, absolutely not. But all of that stemmed from my childhood, and then that transformed as I grew older, and then transformed into the relationship that everybody is interested in. So.
Oh, also, if you want me to stop the video, you just say, "Hey, everybody, stop."
Oh, okay. I did want to stop. It was interesting that she mentioned that she had 2 other brothers. Does that mean her mom had more kids with her father? Could you get out of here, dog?
It sounds like that's what it sounds like.
It does sound like that, right? So you're right. She did stick around with this man who was barely around, but came around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Then this other part that she's mentioned that her father was giving more attention to her brothers than she was. I actually deal with this as being a father because I have both boys and girls, different age ranges. So my youngest daughter, the youngest one, she's 5 years old, and she have a that same type of acceptance thing where if I'm giving, like her siblings more attention than her, then immediately she's gonna be like, Daddy, look, I do this and I do that. And she just do something randomly, right? And so how the way I deal with that is that I go ahead and allow her to do it and I praise her for it. Then also I include her into, what we're talking about. So I'm thinking that what was happening with Danelle and her father was that he never included her with the things that she was doing with the siblings. What do you think?
Right. It sounds that way. And also, I'm thinking back too, like he was an 18-year-old kid when he had her.
Yeah. True.
And so, not really knowing how to be a father, probably didn't really bond with her. Probably had his family saying, like, is she really your kid? So that strained their relationship right there. But, him having more kids with a mom, he was around, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, facts.
But like you said, that definitely set her up for the type of relationships that she would later on get into.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sour Patch, I see in the chat. Salute. Sour Patch, that's Sweet Rita. But salute. Welcome. But that's what set the stage up. That's why also, and just talking to everyone who's viewing the show right now, especially if you have children, that's why it's so important as you being parent, whether you have a nuclear household, which is 2 parents, or if you're a single mother, single father. That's why it's very, very important for you to resemble a positive behavior around your children, because your children is going to absorb whatever it is that you do. You may think they're not watching, but they are. They absolutely are.
Oh, they watching and listening.
Exactly. The end result is that they either going to turn out to be a exact mirror image of you, or probably even worse.
Nature versus nurture.
Exactly. Let's go ahead. Now remember, you tell me stop. Ever stop. So you got
like this. When I do
this. That'll work.
So, did you deal with any type of childhood trauma when you think about it outside of abandonment?
So again, my dad did never follow really through on his promises. So when I would go over there, sometimes that would cause some issues between him and my stepmom, and then I would be at my grandma's house. And so
you say it was cause issues like what? What do you mean?
So they would just have like their little.
I think the dad went on to have another family, and that's where those brothers came in. It sounds like.
Yeah.
And so probably when she went over there, she had some feelings of jealousy because dad was in the household maybe with those boys. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Well,
thinking.
well, let's kind of unpack that a little bit. Let's talk about blended families. How do you feel about blended
Right.
families?
I think they can work when the parents act like adults and put the kids first and put
Mm-hmm.
their feelings aside. It's not easy, but I've seen many cases where it works. It almost works so well that I'm like, ooh, like you all really get along. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It can definitely work. Unfortunately, we hear about the cases when it doesn't work and it really hurts the children in the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it
Facts.
definitely can work.
Yeah. And I'm a living witness that blended families can work because me and our Mrs. Irby, we are a blended family, and
Okay.
we have a we got it worked out like very well.
That's
But
right.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm not gonna lie. It do be difficult because just like I say, we all we blended our families together. She have children that's kind of like mid ages. And I have children that's kind of like mid age all the way up to
Right.
my youngest daughter. And so we got all these different type of personalities running around the house. So we had to figure out how to parent all of them on different levels. And it could be difficult.
Right.
It'd be difficult.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. But it can work. It definitely can work. I've seen so many examples in real life and what we see from celebrities or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, facts. I
But you
agree.
do, I think what she was saying too is that kind of when she went over to her dad's house, did she really feel like she was a part of the family?
Yeah, yeah. I actually had to deal with that a part of the time when me and Mrs. Irby first became married, and we actually
Hmm.
consider ourselves as a family unit. My
Right.
my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter was having that issue. That was having that issue like, well, Dad, I don't know if we feel a part of the family because it seemed like the other kids get more favor than us or more
Right.
attention than us.
Yeah.
And so me and Mrs. Irby, we had to sit down with them and develop a plan and also to let them know that, hey, this is not the case, but we're not going to, take away how the way you feel. So what we're going to do, we're going to work on that. And so we
Right.
develop a plan to work on that. And so far, being very successful.
The open communication, that's what's key.
Hmm.
And hearing the kids and not defending like, oh, yes, we do. We treat y'all all the same. You
Yeah,
didn't come at it like that. And that's why you're going to be successful in blending.
absolutely, absolutely. And it
Mhm.
takes, just like you say, it takes a lot of communication for you to
It
be
does.
in a blended family. A whole lot of communication. It can't
Hmm.
be no, I think this or I think that. You got to speak to each other. You got to communicate. If not, it's not going to work.
Right. And hear each other.
Yes, 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 yes. Facts. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
Arguments or whatever. And I felt like it was always about me. But of course, I'm a child, so
Yeah.
I don't know adult
Yeah.
things at that time. But how I internalized it and what I carried with me is that, oh, this is about me being over here. Now I'm over here, I'm disrupting their little family
Yeah.
unit. And, my mom is over here. And I feel like maybe she's jealous of my mom or something
Yeah.
like that, And this is all going on while I'm a child. So this is what I grew up with, what the capacity that I had. And so that was pretty much the main trauma that I had. I didn't have another trauma until I was 19 where I was raped. And so I still kind of include that in childhood trauma. So
It's been an interesting thing with this season.
I know the audience hearing the R word. We're gonna get into that because she's gonna go more into detail later. All right.
Another podcast. It's like almost every woman that has sat down on this couch during this season have dealt with sexual trauma, sexual assault, rape.
yes.
It was a statistic that I read that was 1 in 5 women have dealt with sexual assault, and then now they said there's probably 1 in 3 or something like crazy.
Absolutely.
what happened in that? Was it a boyfriend, a date rape situation, a relative, or what happened, if you don't mind sharing?
So I was 19. I was on summer from college actually, and I was going out to a party that I didn't tell my mom about. I was, doing my own thing, and I went there, and I did have an ex-boyfriend there, and a couple other people, my family, my brothers were there, and their friends and things like that. And so we were all drinking, having a good time. I was downstairs, and one of the people there decided that they, seen me, and they wanted what they wanted. And so I was grabbed from behind. I was pushed down, and then, there's that story of being raped. But everybody was upstairs, so they couldn't hear me downstairs, in the basement screaming with over the music and all of that. So
how'd you process that? Did you tell anybody?
I did not process it. And so I did not process it at all. I didn't tell anybody. In fact, then I didn't go home that night. I actually stayed in the house with my abuser, right? Well,
Stayed in the house with the abuser.
Right.
Oh Lord.
The same way she stayed in the marriage with her husband, who was mentally abusing her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same way, same thing.
That's why I mentioned about Stockholm syndrome, because of this particular situation and ongoing as well too. One other thing that stood out to me was that instead of her viewing herself as being the victim in the situation, she took it as though it was her fault to be in that situation, because she mentioned to me, well, I went to this party where my mom didn't know, and tried to, I guess that was her way to try to process accountability, but it really wasn't accountability.
Right. Acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
My fault. I shouldn't have went to that party.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my bad. You go ahead. I thought you had something else.
Oh, no. I wanted to stop there because just to make the comparison between that situation and later on marrying and dating Derrick. She was the perfect victim for him.
Yeah, I agree.
She was the perfect victim.
But they were like upstairs, I stayed the night. I didn't tell my mom where I was at. And I actually lied to her and told her, hey, I was at my uncle's house with my aunt and my brothers. And so I never told her, and I never told anybody else. I actually held it for 5 years. And then I briefly mentioned it to Derrick at one point because he was talking to someone at the time. And then it came up like in the conversation. I was like, I was raped, and this just triggered that. And he was like, what? So he didn't even find out till 5 years. And it was just brief conversation. And then I never really dealt with it. I never got that therapy or counseling. And I didn't get that until I was 30, which at that point was about 12 years after the experience.
So what would cause a person to hold on to that for so long, not to go out and get on professional help?
Embarrassment. For a lot of women, it really just comes down to embarrassment. Because when you're a victim of sexual assault, you have to tell the story, right? In order to start the healing process, you got to talk about it. And it takes victims years sometimes to get through the story from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. And so I find that's the reason. Like it's embarrassing. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to deal with it. And so they just go on with life. I mean, it still is a traumatizing event, but to put it in the forefront of your mind and have to talk about the details of it, it really just makes you go through the trauma again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reliving it.
You just relive it again. So that's where a lot of men and women who are victims of sexual assault, that's part they don't talk about it. Sometimes it's fear of the person coming after you and stuff like that, but oftentimes it's the embarrassment.
Well, what about religion? Do you think religion plays a role with them not talking about it as well? Are they religious belief or they faith-based belief?
I don't know. It could be. I mean, especially if you were like, if you grew up Christian and now you're a virgin and now you've been assaulted, it definitely plays a role. I've worked with a lady, I'll never forget her because the religion in her mind, she was raped by somebody she was familiar with. She was a virgin. She was like maybe 14 or 15. She was raped by kind of a stranger, but she knew him from the neighborhood. And so she lost her virginity to this rape. And in her mind, now she had to make him her, now that needed to be her boyfriend. And
Mm-hmm.
later on went on to marry him and lived a life of horror because, of course, he was abusive. He was everything imaginable that is horrible. But it was the religion that, in her mind, said to her, now you need to be with this guy.
Yeah, now because she
So,
was
yeah,
a virgin.
she was a virgin and she felt like, now I have to be with him because he took my virginity and now I have to marry him. And she did.
Hmm.
And
So
it was
I'm kind of
a pretty violent rape. Oh, I mean, sexual assault.
I'm curious. You think our parents had a role in that situation that you're talking about, where like, well, you done made it this far, you might as well just go ahead and get married.
I don't think the person I'm talking about, I don't think she ever told anybody how they hooked up or how the so-called relationship started.
Hmm.
I don't think people knew that. This was what she told herself. And went on to be with this, had children with him, and he was just a horrible person. And
Yeah.
she
Wow.
finally was able, by the time I saw her as a client, they had ended. It had ended, but he was still like stalking her and, harassing her, just made her
Mm-hmm.
life miserable.
Yeah.
But it was
Wow.
that religion that made her believe in her mind that she needed to make this relationship legit.
Mm-hmm. It could be possibly in this same situation. Probably not the her being the victim to this, but I'm talking about afterwards with her Derrick Jaxn. She believed that the religion needed was playing a key part with her stand with him.
That could be it, yeah. I mean, and he could have been telling her that too. I think for her, I don't know if it was so much religion because didn't she say she wasn't very religious?
Yeah, she
She kind
started
of
off
gained
saying that she
religion
was.
later on.
Yeah, she started off saying that she wasn't very religious. For us, her understanding about religion, she talking about she wasn't practicing Christianity, but I believe that she was practicing some form of what we call modern day spirituality.
Right. I think she might have used that as an excuse to stick around.
You know what? I honestly agree with that. I honestly do.
Right. The Lord told me to stay with you, Derrick.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord
Yeah.
ain't have nothing to do with you staying in that mess.
I remember a young lady had approached me when I was on single. She approached me talking about, hey, the Lord told me that you my husband. I like the Lord lying to you because I even married you.
What
I'm
Lord
not
you
finna
talking
marry
about,
you.
girl?
So that must be in your
Um,
head because that is not gonna happen. Period.
right. I call you back when the Lord called me and tell me I'm supposed to marry you. Ah,
Now the funny situation that I dealt with, when people walk up to you like the Lord told me that you was gonna give me some money, or the Lord told me that you got to donate, and like
uh,
what? I'm like,
the
how
Lord know
God
better
gonna
than
tell
that.
you
You see
before?
my bank account.
Yeah, like how he gonna how God gonna tell you before me?
Right. No, send me the message first.
Mm-hmm.
People crack
Oh
me
goodness.
up
Yep.
too much.
And when I started unpacking it, I started to realize how much that single event really affected my life, affected my sex life in marriage, affected my mental and emotional state, affected almost every aspect that I didn't even know that it was affecting.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. It's always hard for me to hear that. I'm trying to be present at because I have a daughter.
Yes.
And one of the things that I was super vigilant about that, because me and her mom wasn't together as my daughter was matriculating through her adolescent years. And I was always like super like, who you dating? Who's this guy? I want to know. Like I was just on edge because I said, I just never wanted my daughter to ever have to experience that, and for me to have to experience that
Yeah.
because I don't know how I would have reacted and responded.
It's hard. It's hard when you have girls, and a lot of times it happens with people that you know
Yeah,
and that you trust, right? So my abuser is somebody that I know or knew,
Mm.
and so your guard is automatically let down. It's not something that you can
yeah,
anticipate. So it's like, okay, you're doing the right thing, asking the questions where you're at, what you're doing,
yeah,
but sometimes you have to be like, I don't care who it is, uncle, brother, cousin,
yeah, yeah.
grandpa. If you feel uncomfortable at all, I need you to let me know so then we can address it, so.
Again, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So you met your husband at what age, and how'd y'all meet?
At 19, we met in business calc class at Tuskegee University.
Hold on. So you met him shortly after
I
your
did.
rape experience?
I did 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks after I
Wow.
met him in
Wow.
class. Yes.
Wow. 3 weeks after the experience, a whole month later, she met this dude, allowed this dude to court her, and enter into a relationship.
That's how I know she has an attachment disorder, because who does that? You are just been traumatized a month prior, and now you're willing and excited about moving into a new relationship. Her attachment disorder was already developed at that point, and she was
Mm-hmm.
moving like that because of it, where she can departmentalize. What's the word? Departmentalize. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that happened. I'm not dealing with that in real life. I'm just gonna move that rape over, sexual assault over there, put my father's situation over there, and now I'm moving with blinders on. You're interested
Mm-hmm.
in me? Okay.
Hmm. It draws the question that could it be possible that she considered this sexual assault as a form of love for her to just transition that quickly into a whole nother relationship like that?
I don't think she saw it as love. I just think she just, it's almost like she just forgot about it. Like she was able to not put it in the forefront of her mind. Like she just buried it. Like, okay, I'm gonna put that
Mm-hmm.
over there. Even her feeling of maybe not even feeling, like you said, blaming herself. Why should I tell anybody? I should have never been there. My fault. Moving on. My dad didn't come around. My fault.
My fault.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Derek's
Yeah. Yep.
constantly cheating. My fault.
Yeah, my bad. I could do better. Like,
Right,
like it's not their fault.
right.
You know what I'm saying? That you're experiencing these situations. You know, they
Hmm.
have to be held accountable just as well as you.
Right,
So,
right.
and what's also unusual about this situation is that normally any person that deals with sexual assault, they do not want to experience that situation again. So they have a real tough time trusting people, let alone enter into a relationship. So I find that very, very peculiar that she decided to do this with Derrick, knowing good well she had this experience.
Right. I think for a lot of women, especially that have been in a sexual assault, and I always see they go either way. Either they are against any type of relationship and they isolate from that and they don't want anything to do with that experience, or they become over sexualized.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Yeah. So it could go either way. You know, remember she was still looking for comfort in a father figure, a man. So he was kind to her. He's a manipulator. So he's the big man on campus and he's choosing me.
Hmm.
So she was the perfect victim.
Yeah, facts. And this is for the one all the fathers who out there who have daughters. This is why it's very vital for you to be present in your daughter's life, because if not, they're gonna look for that type of father figure with these dudes, especially these simps out there and these F boys out there, and you be trying to figure out like why you choose that dude. She chooses because you wasn't there. You didn't set the stage for her. You didn't give her that example or how the way a father and how
Exactly.
a man's supposed to be.
Right. Right. That's why
Right.
she that's why she fell for it.
Hmm. Yep.
So then we
Mhm.
add on another layer, right? I went straight into a relationship. Even though it wasn't like immediately we started dating, but I met him and there was interest there. I went straight into that without even acknowledging dealing with the rape. I pretended like it never even happened and got myself into a relationship unhealed. So
Yeah, and you just said that too. Hit it right on the nail.
What
Mhm.
attracted you to Derrick?
he's very charming. He's very charming. When you see him, he has a charisma and a presence about him that is just like it sucks you in automatically. And then he's very funny. And so that humor drew me in as well. Of course, he has the looks to go with it. So there's that.
So it's a perfect little balance of
Yeah, it's a
everything, huh?
perfect balance of it all.
And so when you first saw him, did you just see him as somebody that, oh, I'm interested in him? Where is he pursuing you, or y'all start off as friends and it evolved to something greater, or
Yeah,
what?
so I actually was very quiet. Again, I'm pretty much pretty quiet overall and to myself, but he see me in class. I was the quiet girl in class, and he was like, "Hey, are you a model?" I was like, I used
Before we get into this, I just thought about this question too. I actually had a debate about this on PE, and I want to share this with you. All right. So what do you
Mhm.
think? Do you think that it's the looks first that attracts a woman to a man, or do you think it's personality then looks?
Looks.
Why?
That was quick.
Why?
Look,
Why?
I've dated some very nice looking men with horrible personalities. Looks.
I'm glad that you're being transparent about this because I have surveyed a lot of women and they would say it does his personality. Some say
Oh,
personality.
please.
Some say it's the shoes or how the way they dress, but that's still pertaining to looks. So I always get on them and say like, well, how can you be attracted by their personality? You don't even know them. Like, what is it about?
Of
What
course.
is it? You got to get to know them
Everybody
first.
shows up on their best behavior.
Facts. Just like with Derrick Jaxn, he could have this sort of charisma to draw you in, but when you get to really know him, then he's a totally different person. But I'm just gonna be real about it. I'm gonna be real about it. Just for the ladies out there, every man have a certain type of charisma because we know that we only have a small window of opportunity to talk to y'all, less than like 3 minutes to talk to y'all.
You on the hunt. Y'all are always on the hunt.
Absolutely. So we go in, we present our A game, we have that charisma, and we do our very best to try to pull you in. Just being real with y'all on that. And that's exactly what Derrick Jaxn was doing. But since he's getting to this, I'm going to say this too. Derrick Jaxn, the reason why Derrick Jaxn chose her is because P, are you familiar with this movie called Def Jam, How to Be a Player? It's like an old movie that came out a long time ago. All right, so the character Dre, right? They him and his friends had went to a party. And so the character Dre, he was telling his friends like, hey, there's a certain way that you need to talk to the women. Now his friends was being direct and he was trying to talk to them, but they wasn't getting no action. So Dre, he went and talked to the most eyeball girl in the party, which is the nerd in the party. And so they was looking at him crazy, like, well, why did you talk to her? He was like, wait and see. Then his exact words was that she is my mouthpiece. Watch. All I got to do is treat her right. If I treat her right, then all the rest of the ladies are gonna come flying to me. And sure enough, he treated her right. He danced with her. He made her treat her like she was the whole host of the party and everything. And then after that, the ladies start coming to him. The reason why I mention that because that is an old trick that men do. And I'm going to be honest, I did it. It works. It works. You go and talk to the less attractive girl, the girl that nobody wants. You go and talk to that girl, right? Treat her like a queen. The other lady's going to be like, if he's treating her like a queen, I know that he's going to treat me right.
Right. I mean, the opposite for women too is that you might have a group of friends and everybody's kind of average, but then you have the really pretty friend. We push her out in the front, like, go on, girl, go get them. You know, because the guys, are going to be attracted to her, and then we'll get the scraps. But it's cool.
Yeah, get the homeboys and say, yeah.
Whatever she don't want, we'll take it.
Yep. We'll take his homeboy. We'll take homeboy number 3. Yeah, I got him.
Why not?
And the other side of that, right, is that the same homeboy, right? We already had a conversation too where, like, all right, bro, I need you to run interference, okay? So I need you to talk to old girl. She's going to talk to you anyway, bro. Let's talk to her while I talk to her.
Right. Ah.
But yeah, she fell for the oldest trick in the book, but
she did.
To do some modeling, right? Because I had all these pictures.
Happy.
Yeah, she was happy. She felt special.
She was very special.
Of me doing some modeling stuff from high school and all that on my little binder. Yeah. I'm still having this high school mentality with all the pictures on the binder. So I'm like, this is cool. I'm going to put all these picture collage on here, right? And so I had all that on there. And he was like, "What? Did you model?" And I was like, "I used to do some modeling." And he's like, "Can you tutor me?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Hey, facts, reader, Sour Patch, take one for the team.
He wasn't just a quiet girl; he was a smart girl too.
Yes, you always gotta have a wingman,
right? And I had these crazy braids in my hair that were not upkept. I had pimples all over my face. So it's like one of those classic movies where it's like that, the ugly duckling, smart girl in the corner, and then all of a sudden, look at this face, you're right. And so it was like one of those classic fairy tale kind of stories in that regard. But he asked me to tutor him. We met up in the library and, I'm sitting on, I'm so awkward. He's like I'm sitting on the opposite end of the table, and I'm just like this.
You're talking about way across.
Yeah, way across, and I'm just like, okay, are you ready? And he's like, why are you so like stiff? Like, why are you sitting that far? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, oh, it is okay to like be a little bit closer.
Had you not been in a relationship before then? You haven't had a boyfriend?
I had a high school boyfriend.
Yeah,
and but it was I went to an all white high school.
Okay.
So
even how she tells the story about how they met. Meanwhile, we all know what has happened. She has the information in her head about how this man has treated her. But she tells the story of their courtship like we talking about Cinderella. You know what I mean? Like Tasha K mentioned it on her podcast. She said, you know what? If Derrick was to come back to her and say, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do this again, do you think she would take him back? I think she would. Would you?
Yep.
Just based on how she's telling the story about their courtship. She don't even see the manipulation that was going on in that courtship. She's still telling the story like he was the king of the world.
Like the best thing ever. But
The
in her
best
mind,
thing. And he was cute.
yeah, in her mind, she's thinking this way. But I'm gonna tell you the story from a man perspective. At this point,
Okay.
I honestly believe that Derrick Jaxn seen her as his project. He seen her as the oddball girl, and he was with his homeboys, right? And he said, you know what? I bet I could transform this girl to this little quiet girl into one of these 3 or 4 thoughts that we be smash all the time. I bet you can, dog. Shoot, put 20 on it. I bet I can. And so he took her in as a special project and just stayed at it and kept doing it and molded her. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Let's put this in some context. I went to all white high school pretty much. There were some black people there, of course, but it was different than going to all black college. So
oh yeah, the culture shock.
Culture shock, right? And so
you said where all this swag coming from?
Right.
These guys.
I don't even know what this means. Like, I don't know what that is, you know. It's different in a more diverse or lack of diverse school. And so it was an adjustment all around. And so I had to get used to that because he introduced me to a whole new world of black culture. I got my black stripe going to Tuskegee and being in this relationship. So
and so how
I'm laughing about this because Saturday, right? Me, Mrs. Irby, and the kids, we went out to a social event, right? A gathering and stuff, right? And so my youngest, not my youngest daughter, but my middle child, right? My middle child is the one cheerleader, and she does professional cheerleading. She be in competitions and everything, and so her cheerleader squad is not as diverse per se. So she's used to being around them all the time, right? And so when we was at this place, right, there was 2 guys that started arguing with each other, but they wasn't arguing to fight each other. They was arguing because they was drunk, right? And you know how it is, they 2 dudes get together, they just be arguing, but I love you, bro. But they arguing with each other, being out loud. That scared her. And so she was looking out, being afraid about it. And so her mom was trying to calm her down. And then I looked at mom like, hey, look, this is the exact reason why she need to be in a more diverse squad right here, so she could be used to different situations that's going on,
Right. I don't blame her though. I would have been like, get me out of here.
Yeah, that was just being loud. It wasn't like they was trying to fight each other. They was just being loud. Just being extremely loud.
Right. Ooh. No, thank you.
Did it transition from you being his tutor to him tutoring you in some things.
That is good. That's good. I did get I got schooled, okay, for years. No, we after the tutoring, we were having conversations nearly daily. Like the first 3 days, it felt like I know him for my whole life.
Yeah.
And literally, we were on the phone, sleeping on the phone, like those first 3 days, having all kinds of conversations. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've known you all my life. This is a fairy tale. I love you. You know, like when are we getting married and having kids? Like it was all
were you
of that.
This, or were you saying this?
All of the
y'all were talking about marriage and stuff.
Not necessarily marriage, but it was definitely
having
like
kids.
I like you. Like I've known you my whole life. This is so easy.
Yeah.
Like where have you been?
Yeah. Straight soul makes on them boys, huh?
In her mind, he was doing that with 5 other girls on campus.
Exactly. Selling them a pipe dream. But
he was doing the same thing.
Exactly. But in this situation, we could honestly relate to this where, you find that one person that you could really interact with, get along with, and it'll seem like it was too good to be true. We all have been there. But what the old people used to call 100%. It what? Puppy love? They call it puppy love.
It feels so good.
This is right here in this
19
moment.
19 years old.
Yes.
Where have you been all my life?
Exactly.
All the 19 years of my existence.
Exactly. All 19 years of my life. I miss you. I love you. This is what, and so it was great. It's pure ecstasy. And so from there, we spent pretty much every day together. And about 1 month after just meeting, he asked me to be his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. So that was like our unofficial anniversary for years. He had this big old heart, and he had his shirt off, and he was like, "Will you be my girlfriend?"
He had his shirt off?
Yes. He was fine, too. I was like, yes, Naia, look at you. Everybody thought you were a nerd, but here you go.
That's what I'm about to say. What were people thinking? Here you were, this quiet little nerdy girl that you said that had pimples all over your face, but then you get the
doesn't match.
You get the sexy. What did he play football?
He
or
did
anything?
play football.
So you got the sexy jock. What was that about?
Fire. Like for me, that's what I was thinking. Like, listen, Danae, you have upgraded. You are coming into it, right? And so. I think there was a lot of hatred overall.
Yeah.
Most people didn't say a whole lot, but I think there's a lot of hatred about it. And then it's like, it doesn't match because he is more outgoing and personable. And I'm just like, the awkward black girl that went to an all white high school. So there's a balance there.
What did he see in you? Because he had to have said that to you before. What did he see in you?
Well, okay. So he said that he liked that I was like smart, and of course he loved my eyes. And I feel like now, like looking back on it, I feel like there was a lot of compliments on like the physical attributes, as opposed to more of the mental and emotional attributes that I had. But then.
But she also had to take accountability that she was doing the same thing. She never mentioned about his personality or anything like that. She's like, oh my God, he's fine. I done won. I'm winning. This kind of this kind of reminds me of, the content that I was talking about with the manosphere, talking about with Kevin Samuels when he was mentioning about, the average as best. I honestly believe that she felt that she was that average as best chick, and this dude was the high earner in her eyes. And she won. She hit the lotto. And she felt like this dude was going to totally take care of her. She didn't care about the personality. She just cared about what she was getting out of it.
And then you got to think about, being on a Black campus, and you have all these beautiful, Black women who are outgoing, and, they show up and show out on these campuses, the way they dress and all of that stuff. And for him, being popular and the football player, for him to pick me, the nerd, the one that doesn't even fit in with these other women because I didn't really hang out with black women. She felt like a queen and a princess.
All in one.
Yeah, she got picked. He picked me over all these other women. And he's out here claiming me too. That's a big part.
Yeah, a big
Allegedly
part.
claiming her, because I don't know if he probably did that as much as she might think. But because he had other women going on too.
So you think that's an over-exaggeration on her part right here?
Yeah. Right. I don't see him walking through the food court holding her hand and claiming her and walking around campus with her. I don't see him doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because he was such a manipulator. I think he was going from dorm to dorm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think she's going to mention this later on about that experience too, where she allegedly had a appointment.
Oh my God! Did you hear that part?
Like, golly,
dude, man.
But I don't know. Maybe with her, maybe he really was doing that, because remember what I mentioned earlier when I gave you an example about that movie, right? He had to keep rehashing that image, right, so the other women could see that he's treating her right. So I think that it was certain situations where he needed to do that so they could see that.
You might be right. Because he's such a master manipulator. Yes. And also to keep other men away from her. Like, this is mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he possessive as well too. I'm pretty sure of it. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if he's a narcissist. He's very possessive. Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She didn't have a chance.
No, not at all. Not at all, man. Mm-mm-mm. And in a way, so far, just by hearing her story, I, in a way, feel sorry for her. Then another way, by her decision making, that's why I'm like, and then again, you kind of made a lot of choices here too. So,
sure did. Absolutely. Once she knew what he was, she could, she stayed in it. Mm-hmm. Even before the children.
Yeah, true. So what would make her want to stay in this situation? What would keep her just so glued into it, especially when she see all the evidence presented in front of her?
If I knew the answer to that, I'd be a zillionaire. You know what I mean? We've all stayed in relationships way too long, even when we saw all the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Some more than others. I mean, hers became such a volatile relationship that was causing her mental health to decline. So, this man could have, where she was emotionally, she could have ended her life. And I think she did talk about having thoughts about that. So, yeah, it's like, why would she stay? I mean, that's a huge question. Why do any of us stay, way past the expiration date of a relationship?
Yeah. I was learning, and also in my one of my sociology courses, right? The professor, he was telling us that one of the reasons why the victim would stay in a relationship is because of first reason is the obvious, because of financial stability. Because let's revisit this whole situation. I was talking about Kevin Samuels, right? About the average is best woman, and they believe that a woman should go after the high earner, right? So in most cases, the woman really don't have any type of sustainability financially to take care of herself. So therefore, she feel like that it's better for her to stay in that relationship regardless of how the way the dude treat her, because she's getting a financial advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Where she's getting money from him, she get to go do all this lavish shopping, or whatever the case may be. The second reason, what the one professor told us, was that if they have children together, they'll say that they'll stay in a relationship because, hey, we have children together, and our children is what's going to hold us together, and it's pretty much cheaper to keep her, especially if she have children. So to stay in a relationship, wait till the children get up into age where they can get out the house, then get out the relationship or exit out.
Right. Those, I would say, are the top two reasons why somebody stays in an abusive relationship. Finances and children. For women.
Yeah, for women.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And not even if they're living this elaborate lifestyle, because most women who are in those situations are not. It's just basic needs are being met. I have food, shelter. My kids have food and shelter. And that's our basic needs are being met. I leave here, I may not have those basic needs met. And so I need to stay here and just deal with this.
Yeah. Or she can't find nobody else like that person.
Or even deeper than that, she loves the man. That dang on word love. Love, that connection will keep you in bad situations.
Yeah.
It's unexplainable.
So since you're asking about love, let me ask you this question from both a professional and personal. Do you believe that that love is a feeling, or do you believe that love is a choice?
I feel like it's an action. Like it's a, I don't know if it's a choice, because that's a good question. It's a feeling, obviously. It's a feeling, but do we choose who we love? Or do we just love somebody because we just love them? Even if you see people in these relationships with somebody and they're like, the person is like disgusting. And you're like, how could you love that? It's so subjective. It's like, I just love him or her or it. You know what I mean? So I guess it's a choice, but it's a choice that your heart makes. And the heart and the mind don't always align.
Yeah. And here's a follow-up too. Since we're establishing that it's a choice, right? Let's dive into about unconditional love. How you feel about unconditional love?
I don't believe that. I 100% don't believe in unconditional love. We use a term in therapy, unconditional positive regard.
Yeah.
And that is what we establish with our clients. That's real because we don't have personal relationships with our clients, right? And so no matter how a client shows up, I accept them unconditionally, right? I've had clients, you could show up high, you could show up broken, however you show up to the therapy is how you show up. I'm going to still have unconditional positive regard towards you, as a human being. In relationships with other people, I don't believe in unconditional love because we need to put conditions on how we expect someone to love us. And that includes our own parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're my mother, but I expect you not to abuse me mentally and physically. You're my husband. I love you, but here are some conditions on how to love me. You can't hit me. You can't manipulate me. You can't abuse me. So the term unconditional love, I don't believe in it, because you need to put conditions on how you want someone to love you or what your expectations are.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to be an advocate for unconditional love at one point in time. The reason why is because back then
It sounds nice.
I had a very, very strong religious background because in religion, especially in Christianity, they teach you about unconditional love.
I didn't watch your video, but I saw your title.
Yeah.
I gotta watch it.
Yeah,
I said, I was a pastor.
Yeah. Associate pastor, matter of fact. Yeah, I was deep into
I
it.
gotta watch it.
But yeah,
wow.
I used to be a strong component because of religion. You know, remember when I mentioned about did her religious belief have anything to do with this? I believe it does because I used to be that way, where religion played a huge role in my decision making. I felt that if I didn't do these certain things according to how the way the Bible or the scripture tells you to do it, that it's not going to work, you know, especially with the term about unconditional love. So I went through the whole process of doing that to come to find out that it's conditions in everything. You know, we deserve to have conditions in relationship, period. We deserve to be treated a certain way, period. Because if you're not being treated that certain way, if you're not being met with that certain way, then that is an abuse, period.
Absolutely.
And that's in your relationship with your spouse, that's with children, that's with friendship, that's with career-wise,
siblings,
everything you think of, everything.
The mailman.
Everybody. Everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even we can even say even in these YouTube streets too, you know, we deserve to be treated.
Exactly.
There are certain
absolutely 100%.
Yeah, there's certain conditions that have to be met. If you're not meeting me with these certain conditions, I have every right to explore other avenues where them conditions are going to be met. It is what it is.
Absolutely. That's right. 100%. You're not just going to do me anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Because if not, especially if you allow people to do you a certain type of way too, that reflects back on you as a person. Because you can't no longer say that you're a victim if you're a willing participant. You know, I'm saying that again.
Right.
So you cannot say that you're a victim if you're a participant. I'm just saying. I don't know who that's for, but
take it. Absolutely.
But we are an hour and 17 minutes into the stream.
Woo,
now.
This is almost my bedtime.
I know, right? So, do you want to continue a little bit further into doing this review, or do you want to resume it at a later date? Because I know you're my guest, and I do want to, treat you with respect. You know, because I value your time.
You want to do part 2 and finish it up tomorrow?
Well, what we got tomorrow? Tomorrow is Thursday, right? Yeah, I think we could do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We do it tomorrow. It's no biggie. Because I value your time, and also I appreciate you coming up as well too as being my guest. So I don't want to hold you captive up here.
I fell asleep on the live.
Yeah, and I don't want that to happen because I don't want people to clip you. Look at PE. She done fell asleep on everything.
Look, y'all get this.
Got screenshots and everything. No,
all of
I want
it.
that to happen. They'll be sitting up here blaming it on me. Herbert.
Oh, look what they did. No, we can finish up. We'll wrap it up tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do that. But once again, PE, I do thank you so much for joining me tonight on this special episode. And also, I thank everyone else who are watching it right now, who are watching the show right now, or who are going to catch it in the replay as well, too. All right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So other than that,
y'all... All right, email me and let me know the time.
Oh, yeah, I will. Most definitely, I will.
Okay. Sound good.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem. I don't know how to click out.
Just exit out. You just click the... I think it's like an end button right there, somewhere around there.
Let me see. I see a mute button. Oh, hang up. Oh, biggest day. All right, I'm hanging up. Bye.
once again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this show today. I hope that the things that me and P share with you, it does give you a different perspective about, you know, this situation with Naia Jaxn and her husband, Derrick Jaxn. Now, it's more into this that we're going to unpack. So we're going to pick it up and we're going to resume. If it takes for us to do a second part, a third part on this one video, we're going to do that. All right. So once again, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the live. If you like this show today, go ahead and thumbs up the video. Not only thumbs up the video, go ahead and share out the video as well too. To let y'all know that, you know, people can, you know, chill and also not only chill, but we could, you know, collaborate effectively. All right. So other than that, thank y'all so much, y'all. And we will see y'all again on the next episode. Make sure y'all got your notifications set. All right. Because this is going to be good. It gets good. The further down in this video we'll explore it, the better it gets. All right. So we'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night.